Hi, in this video I'll show you how to create an amortization schedule that has cumulative amounts. So what I mean by that is, let's say for example we have a loan here and we're paying 3% interest. Maybe this is a mortgage. This is a 30-year loan, and 30-year loan, there's based on the months, there's 360 months in a 30-year loan. So we have our monthly payment here, and we start to have cumulative payments here. As we go through the monthly payments, they're going to be the same every month, but here we're going to add them up. So by the time of maybe 10 months, we know that we've paid a little over $10,000. In addition, we also have columns that show us the interest that we're paying. So based on this monthly payment, how much of it is interest and how much of it is paying to the principal. And we also have these cumulative interest and cumulative principal payments. And we have, of course, our principal balance, and this gets drawn down. It goes negative. It gets drawn down because every month we're paying, so it gets drawn down eventually to zero. So in this example, we have a 30-year loan. If we go all the way down to the bottom, let me go ahead and just go Control Shift down arrow. It'll take me all the way to the bottom. We'll know by the end of our 360th month, or by the end of 30 years, we should have zero because our loan got paid down. And this is the cumulative amount of our principal. This is our cumulative amount of our interest. So it kind of shows you how much interest that we are paying if you've got this type of loan at that rate. And if we total those two amounts, if we go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and press the Control button to select discontiguous cells, you will notice that these two amounts, this 379,443.63 equals that. So basically, that's the total amount of payments that we should have paid by the end of 360 months. So this kind of gives us an idea with these cumulative amounts how much we are paying by total, just the interest alone, and just the principal. So I'll show you how to create this type of table. Let me go scroll back up. I'll show you how to create this type of table in the next sheet here. Now I'm in my other sheet here. Let me go ahead and just kind of fill out some of the information here. So the loan amount, that was $250,000. Let me go ahead and turn that into a dollar amount. Currency, right? And the interest rate is 3%. Whoops, let me go ahead and 3% is 0.03. Now I want to turn that into percent. I can either use this or I can go into that. Oh, actually, I'll just use this 3%, and I want to bring it up a couple decimal places. And the number of years, we had said 30 before, and the number of periods. So basically, most loans, we are talking about a monthly payment period. So that should be equals 12 months in a year times the one above here. How many years? 30 years, giving us 360. So now we're going to kind of start to put in the values here for here. So the first period is basically the zero period, and that's going to be our principal balance. I'm going to make that equal to that, and I'm going to put just for what I like to do is I like to make that an absolute value. So I'm going to go ahead and press the F4 key, and what it does is put dollar signs in front of the letter and the number. And basically, if I ever try to move this someplace else, it will always stick to C1. That's what it's doing. It's called an absolute cell reference. Not really pertinent for this loan amortization, but I like to do that. The next thing I like to do is start to draw out my periods. So I'm going to go ahead and type 1, press enter, 2, press enter, 3, press enter. The reason why I like to do it this way is I can go ahead and select that first range, and I'll go ahead and click the fill handle here and left click and hold and kind of draw it out. Now you can see that as I draw it out, there is a small little I guess a tip that shows up, and it tells me that cell, what it's going to put in that cell now. It's going to put an 8 in that cell, it's going to put a 9 in that cell, and if I let go of my mouse, it actually kind of fills it out sequentially. And so I can just kind of select anywhere here. And since it's a 30-year term, I'll go ahead and kind of just fill it out, kind of just draw it out, and go all the way to the bottom. So it's kind of nice there. It kind of lets me know how many that I'm going to draw out. So I'm going to go ahead and go to 360. Let's see. That's right there. And now it's pasted that linear increment of values down to 360. Let me go ahead and press the Control Home button to go back up to the top. Now, what I need to do now is kind of fill out my formulas for my monthly payment, my interest, and my principal. So the monthly payment is going to be on the first payment here, and that's going to use the PMT function. So I'm type equals PMT, open parentheses, and now we have little arguments here that shows you what you need to fill out. The ones that are in square brackets, those are optional. The ones without it are mandatory. So the rate is going to be this rate. Now that's a yearly rate, and we're talking about monthly payments, so we're going to have to divide that by 2. But first, I'm going to go ahead and press the F4 key, and that's going to put the dollar signs in front of the C and 2. So basically, when I copy this formula down, it's always going to reference C2. That's what it does. It doesn't change it. So if I didn't have this in front of it, if I copied this formula down, it would become either a mixed cell reference or a relative cell reference. And those values, C2 and C and 2, may change to C3 or C4 or B2, B4, depending where I copy this particular formula to. So once I have the dollar signs in front of there, it sticks to that particular cell. So as I mentioned before, this is the rate. That's a yearly rate, so I have to divide it by 12 to get a monthly rate. And so after that, I press the comma. Now this is the number of periods. So the number of periods is going to be this value right here. So that's our number of periods. We have 360 periods as I go down. So it's going to calculate it based on the total amount of periods, which is 360. So I'm going to go ahead and also press F4 to lock that value in. Comma, that's my next one, is my present value. So the present value is this amount. It's the amount that we are going to get a loan for. So what I need to do is click on that. So I'll go ahead and close parentheses here and press enter. And you notice that it looks red. So what's happening is it's looking to see as this monthly amount it's coming out of your pocket. So it's red. So it's negative, right? But just to keep this kind of like visually all kind of the same, I'm just going to put a negative sign on there, and so it's just going to make it the opposite, or make it a positive. But really, it's not positive. We're talking about just making it all kind of balance out in one color. And so if I do that, we see that our monthly payment is 1054. Oh, oops, I forgot one thing. I also need to make this an absolute value because that is looking at that particular amount. So let me go ahead and press the F4 button, press the F4 key, press enter, and we have 1054. So this monthly payment should be the same every month. So if I click on the fill handle and kind of drag it down, maybe to the 5th payment, you'll see that it's always going to be the same. So that's fine. Let me go ahead and just delete this to make it kind of easier to see as I kind of fill out the other cells here. So the cumulative payments, what this is basically saying is after every month, how much am I paying? So basically what I'm saying is I'm going to say the previous month, how much did I pay, plus this month, or the previous month, how much have I been paying, plus the month payment that I'm paying, how much is that going to be in addition? So that's going to say how much have I paid. So basically, of course, the first payment, you didn't pay anything the previous month, and this month you paid this much, a little over 1,000, so that accumulates there. Now the interest is another function in Excel. So that's going to be an IPMT function. So it's going to equal IPMT. I'm going to go ahead and press open parentheses. The rate's going to be the same. It's going to be this, and I'm going to do the F4 key, divided by 12, because we're doing a monthly rate, and then comma, and the period. The period is going to be this period. So this is where it gets a little bit different from the PMT function. So we're going to be getting the interest on the first payment period, right? And so this we don't have to do the F4 key, because as we copy the formula down, that's going to change. It's going to change from A9, the second cell is going to be A10, and then the third cell A11, right? So we don't need to put the dollar signs in front of the A and 9. So after that is comma, the number of periods. So the number of periods is always going to be this one, 360. I need to put dollar signs in front, so I'm going to do F4, and then the present value, I'm going to do the same thing, minus, it's going to be the present value of this amount, C1. So also F4, right? Close parentheses, because I don't need to, these are optional, the FV and the future value, FV and the type. I'll go ahead and close parentheses, press enter, and you now notice the interest that is part of that monthly payment is $625. Cumulative interest is the same as payment periods in terms of the calculation. What I'm going to do is look at what I paid, the amount that I've been previously paying plus what I've paid for this period, which is this cell here. Press enter, and of course you get the same value here. Next is the principal. Now the principal is using the function called ppmt, and basically this tells us what is just the principal that we're paying for that period. So I'll type equal ppmt, open parentheses, the rate, it's going to be cell C2, and I'm going to do the F4 key because I want to lock that, divided by, of course, 12, because we're doing 12 monthly, 12 months in the year, we're paying every month, comma, and then we've got our period. So the period is also the same as interest, right? We're looking at the first period, and as I copy this formula down, subsequent cells, this cell is going to look for the second period, this cell is going to look for the third period, etc. Right? And so comma, the number of periods is going to be 360. It's going to be this cell, C4. This will have the F4. I'll press the F4 button to get the dollar signs in front of the C and 4. And then my present value, which is the value that I'm currently loaning, which is that. I have to put a minus in front of that, so I don't want to have those have in red font text. I want to have everything the same color. Basically, it just makes it positive instead of negative when you really think about it. I'll go ahead and press F4 because I want to have that as an absolute cell reference, and then close parentheses, press Control Enter to stay in that cell. We have 429.01. Basically, this principal, let me press the Control key and select this cell. I'm selecting non-contiguous cells. Now that summed up to 1054.01, which is our monthly payment. Now next I have my cumulative principal, which is the same calculation steps as cumulative principal, interest, and payment. So basically I'm saying equals what I've been paying from the previous periods plus what I have been paying this period. Right? Press enter. It's 429.01, of course, because there's nothing paid in period 0. Now the principal balance is going to equal what I had to balance from the previous period minus just the principal that I paid in the current period, right? So we're not minusing the total here because interest is something that you don't draw down on the balance, right? Your interest is basically whatever you're paying to the lender. So we're just drawing down the principal now. So that's the calculation for that. We're just minusing the balance, principal balance, off the principal that's paid in that period. Now we have these little notifications that tell us there's kind of an error in the formula. Let me go ahead and take a look. It says the formula in this cell differs from the formula in this area of the spreadsheet. So basically it's saying it's looking at areas around this formula, and it's a little different. But this is the correct formula. Some of the sensitivity in terms of the error checking is a little bit sensitive, so I'm going to go ahead and say ignore this error and do the same thing for this one. I'll go ahead and ignore this error. Right? And basically what we've got is we've got our amortization table. And since I've already filled out the period here, I can go ahead and just select these range of cells and double click this fill handle, and what it's going to do is it's going to copy all these values down to the last area. So since there are values adjacent to my range that I've selected here, it'll go ahead and copy it down to where it ends. So let me go ahead and double click the fill handle here, and you'll see that it's copied it down. Look, the notifications still picked up. So basically, what we're going to look at and see if it copied down all the way down to 360. So I'll go ahead and just go ahead and press Control. Select any of these cells here. Should be values down there. Press Control and then the down arrow, and you notice that it stopped the copying of the formulas at 360 because there was nothing here in the blank. It was blank here, so it stopped here. We'll notice that the values here probably are the same. 105.138. Let me go ahead and press Control down arrow. 105.138. Well, let me see. 379.443. 63, 379.44363, 129.44363, 129.44363. Okay, back in sheet 2 in the one I was just creating, let me go ahead and scroll back, Control up arrow, go back up here. We're going back up to the top here. It goes up back to the first non-empty cell here. Now we have our amortization schedule. So if I wanted to change some things here, since these are linked up to the cell there, I can go ahead and maybe let's say we had a $100,000 loan, and then press enter, and a 3% interest rate, still a 30-year term, well, maybe the term is less now. It's 10-year term, right? 10-year term, 120. If we go down all the way to 120, let me go ahead and scroll down to 120. Right? It should stop there. We should have 0 here. And of course, since there's no more calculations to do after the 120th period, we get errors. So we can go ahead and just select these and Control-Shift down arrow. I'll go ahead and just clear all. Right? So we just have our nice little period ending here. If we change our formula again, if we change it again to maybe we'll say this is 15 years, right? And now we have 180 periods, and I go down and control down arrow down here, 120. Maybe I can just paint this or drag that so it says a little bit more 180, right? Whoops, I dragged just 120, so that didn't work. I need to drag a couple of them to have it count it a little bit better. So let me go and drag that. Now you see that it's counting it. So it's incrementing. Let me go to 180, which is about here. And I can go kind of go scroll back up and select these range of cells. Double click the fill handle here. Oops. Double click the fill handle here and go ahead and press Control down arrow. I'll go down to the last cell. You can see now at my 180th period, we have 0. Our balance or our loan amount was for $100,000, and this is what we've paid back, the principal that we've paid back. In addition, we've paid about a little over $24,000 in interest for a total amount of payments of $124. And of course, this tells us our monthly payment periods. They're going to be the same every month. So that's the way we create an amortization schedule with cumulative payments. In this instance, cumulative monthly payments, cumulative interest payments, and the cumulative principal. So I hope that helps. Thanks for watching.